What's up, guys? I'm Bryce. This is my very first episode of 6 Feet of Separation, the working title right now. Still trying to figure that out. I like to talk to people that are interesting. I think we all do. I think and right now we don't have a means of communication with each other. Personally, everything is online. So I was thinking when COVID-19 took us all back a step or a few steps, what I could do to contribute to what's going on in the world. I mean, I could write songs, yeah, but people are homeless and they're dying, and they want to feel on each other's side again. And what I'm all about is bringing people close together. My family is that way. And I think once you understand a person better and can acknowledge what they do, their struggles, what they've been through, you could really appreciate who they have become. And that's why I bring on a very special selection of people that do all different kinds of things. At least that's the plan. But my first guy right here, looking like a young swaggy Jesus, Michael Lastoria. How are you, my friend?
Hey, happy to be number one.
Yeah, man.
This may be the first time I'm number one, the OG guest. Thanks for having me.
The pilot, bro. So, Mike, and Pizza is your baby. Just go ahead and tell me about it. I know some things, but it's really special. It's a special thing that you're doing, man. So go ahead. I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, man. So like I grew up in a very, very, very small country town 60 miles south of Buffalo. I actually called a hamlet, for those of you unfamiliar with that word. Yeah. So think about this: one flashing light, one bar, under 500, same building, kindergarten through 12th grade. My high school graduating class was 35 people.
35?
35 people. Yeah, it's wild like that. So needless to say,
who's at home?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's wild. So when I got a chance to get out, I moved to New York City, started up my first business at 22, didn't know what I was doing. It was a taxi cab advertising company, converted it into digital media, timed the market right, sold the business, then got into an ad agency business, which I loved it, right? Kind of scratching that creative itch. But like all along, I've always wanted to figure out how to build a company that was reflective of this person that I aspired to be, not necessarily the man that I was, but this person, like when I grew up, I was going to do XYZ. And that XYZ is really And Pizza. So before And Pizza even came to fruition, I had this big dream of creating this company around this symbol, the ampersand, that was all about promoting unity, doing the right thing, and lifting up the lowest wage workers in this country. Because where I grew up in New York, Allegheny County, it's the poorest county in New York State. So spent a lot of time around poverty and knowing what life is like, working, part-time, working hourly, and how difficult life was. And so when I was doing some research around, well, how am I going to build this and idea, I stumbled across this fact: the food service industry in America employs 10% of the workforce. So I'm like, that's it. It's going to be food service. It's one of the largest employers, and the restaurant industry is the second largest private employer in America, second to the federal government, which is another crazy stat.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
The only people above restaurant employers to employ like the working class in the restaurant business is the government. That's kind
of government. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Yeah. So then I came up with this idea, okay, where in the food service / restaurant space am I going to make my mark? Looked at the pizza category and was like, man, seeing a lot of big companies making a lot of money with, paying low wages, providing kind of lower quality food, doing a lot of marketing stuff and deep discounting, and saying there's no sort of better version of. So I'm going to go create a better pizza company that's paying living wages, taking care of its workforce, sourcing high quality ingredients, and really just giving a damn. That's what gave birth to And Pizza. We've got 40 locations now. We're in Boston, New York City, Philly, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and it's been a fun ride. So we've been doing this for 8 years, continuing to grow. Yeah, 8 years. Yeah. And we're going to grow like a weed over the next couple of years, post COVID. But, one of the things that linked us up, which is pretty cool, is when the pandemic was in the early innings and we realized that this is going to be a really tough run for a lot of people, the first thing that we did was raise our hand and say, look, we're going to take care of our people. We're going to invest in them. And that meant paying higher wages, paying for our employees to get to and from work in partnership with Lyft, right? Making sure everyone had sick pay, which is a crazy thing because there's a lot of large food service brands that we all know and love that are not offering, right, sick pay to their workforce still, and making sure that we were feeding families, right? And then we took all of our energy and said, okay, who are the frontline heroes? Who are the people that are risking their health to show up every single day and heal America? And it was the hospital heroes, right? Doctors, nurses, administrators, cleaning staff, everyone working in the hospital, right? If you reach out to us, if you hit us up on our text line, all of our communications are done via text, like we'll give you a free pie, right? And that's how you and I connected,
Yeah.
which is a really cool story.
So yeah, for dude, that's amazing what you're doing, and just even the fact that that you're a CEO and founder of a successful business that still cares about the employees is getting more and more rare. So the whole reason that I found out about your company in the first place is once we shot the music video for my song Baby Girl, like the whole concept behind it was this do the right thing, Spike Lee style shot on film video. And one piece of the video that just seemed to be more popular than anything else was this guy who's like walking down the street dancing while he's throwing around pizzas that I feel bad for the people that he's delivering them to. Right after that is pretty much about when you reached out to me after you saw the Baby Girl video.
Yes, first off, so anyone that hasn't seen the video or listened to the song, y'all got to check it out. Like my head was bobbing. And this guy, I don't know what his name is, but he knows how to spin a pizza box. Really impressive. But one of the cool things is one of our core values at And Pizza is about doing the right thing, right? Promoting unity, doing the right thing, lifting up the lowest wage workers in this country. And when the pandemic first hit, and we decided that we're going to put a lot of our weight into making sure that we protect and we employ our people. One of the cool things is that we are in the restaurant business, we are in the pizza industry, and we have not laid off or furloughed any of our workforce. Even if they're not working, they're getting paid by our company.
Wow.
And then we turn our attention. Yeah.
I know. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of smaller businesses that would love to keep all of their employees and just can't. So how do you manage that?
Look, as a purpose-driven company, we've always invested in our people. We've always invested in our communities. And like when people need us the most is when we step up. And I probably, like, it's very hard for me to say that our success is not tied to that. Like we've done a lot of this kind of stuff, but people pay it forward. People give it back. People remember who was there in their darkest moments or the darkest hour, and they want to support those companies. I think we're actually heading into a really interesting situation where coming out of this pandemic, I think you're going to see a lot of purchasing behavior shift because so many companies and leaders, took their ball in their bat and they went home, right? They wanted to keep all of the cash that they could to get to the other side and survive. And I think this idea of surviving with cash versus investing in your people, being there for your people. I mean, think about when you put and make all of these sacrifices to show up every single day for an employer, right, through thick and thin, based on all these issues you have, whether you got kids at home, trying to find a babysitter, life is hard, life isn't easy, you show up, you put in work, and the minute that they aren't making money, right, they close their doors and you're done.
It does seem awfully cruel and unfair.
It's a tough thing. So we're trying to lead by example in our industry and say, there's a better way to do it. Keep your people employed, make sure there's a soft landing, let them know that like for all of the work and all of the support they've given you, you actually have their back, and be willing to lose money. Yeah, of course. Otherwise, how is their trust? How are people going to ever show up and trust the fact that you're going to ever take care of them, or that you really believe the things that you tell them every single day when you're trying to motivate them to work? We have an opportunity, as a society, as people, to create a new version of normal. The things that we did, our perspective going into this pandemic has certainly changed. And I know that everyone is thinking really differently. And I think, we want to use creativity. We want to use people like you who have a very, very special gift in being able to communicate uniquely and inspire people and get people to move and dance and laugh and act and react, right? To remind people that there is a better way to live and that we don't have to be the same version of individuals as human beings as we were coming to this pandemic. And you and I both know that we're going to be hit with the largest marketing campaign, which has started a couple of days ago, about getting people back to work and almost forgetting like this thing exists, because that's what every major corporation is going to want you to do.
Dude, I feel like such an idiot most of the time, which is why I really did this, because I wanted to give people a platform, regardless of if I know about the subject or kind of understand. I've been doing music since I was 13 years old, and only recently have I been successful at it. And I just like, I don't have anything to give besides that. Yeah, I'd like to be nice to fans and talk to them online, but that can't be all that you give to the world. There's so many people doing so many things that have nothing to do with their own gain, but they feel so much personal pleasure from it. So I was trying to find mine in this thing, and that talking to people, I have so many interesting friends and know so many interesting kinds of people, because I have no prejudices and I have no agenda. So it's easy for people to listen to someone like me if they're a fan, because they don't have to worry if I'm trying to pull one over on them or hide from the truth. I'm figuring things out just like they probably are, and just like you are some days, I'm sure, even though you really are so poised and clearly intelligent. Um, there are people like me, most of us, that just don't know really what's going on, and if we could find an easy, even way to help, we would. And this is one of them. So thank you for talking through with the idiots like me of the world.
Man, what you just said, everyone needs to hear that. That was beautiful. The way that conversation gets started is with humility and with honesty. And you laid it down like that. That's real talk. And I feel like if everyone opened up every conversation that way, the things that we'd be able to get done as people, as a society, would be infinitely greater. So like, if that is what you're about, I'm about it. And I think a lot of people tuning in are going to be about that as well. That's super special. I think personally, it's the best way to talk. It's the best way to tackle issues. And man, like, there's no such thing as smart. Like, people have certain gifts, right? People hone their craft. You put me behind a microphone, see what happens, right? No one's going to listen to that, right? It's going to sound like chicken scratch.
I don't know. You have a pretty nice speaking voice, though. Maybe you could just do like
Oh,
you do books on tape.
yeah, but you're the voiceover guy, even though I hate my own voice.
Everyone
But
does.
none of us feel like we're smart or intelligent. We're just out there talking, because if we can inspire one or two people to think differently, if we can encourage people to have self-confidence, to be willing to go behind a camera and speak what's important to them, like, that's really important, man, because we are really all in this together. We all have the same insecurities. We all have the same self-doubts, and we just got to go about it one foot in front of the other. And literally, that's what this 6 feet is about, is you're one foot in front of the other, man. I can't be more happy to be a part of it.
Dude, thank you so much, man. I got very lucky having you as my first episode. So I'm excited to continue working together, man. Let's try to do our little part in making the world better.
Yeah, love it.
So Mike, it sounds like you're working nonstop, especially during COVID times. Is there anything that you have time to do that you actually like get to just enjoy for your own peace of mind?
Well, it is Friday, so I'm looking forward to throwing back a beer. But I work a ton, and like right now, I have to. 18-hour days are the new 12-hour days.
Yeah.
I do try to tune in. I did watch Tiger King on Netflix. It was super
Oh
wild.
my God, bro.
It was wild. It was wild.
It's just like, it seems almost like something that you should have seen first in a movie to find out the story of. Like, how did this all happen? Like, it's weird to be just part of this huge society of people that are obsessed with this guy who's obsessed with himself above all things. It's just like the ultimate narcissist, but in the most somehow endearing way. I don't know. It's not even endearing. It's like strangely hard to look away from.
It was so wild. So one of the things I was saying is that our entire communications platform with our employees and customers is text-based. And I will go on and record videos and shoot it out to text to all of the workers and pizza all of the time and randomly. And I was watching Tiger King, and I recorded a video, and I was like, has anyone seen this? Is this dude this crazy? Now, I grew up with some people like that, right? In kind of like hillbillyville America. And
Oh,
I got these crazy texts back. But one of the things is that not all of our employees had Netflix or were
oh
subscribers. And
wow.
so literally that was an aha moment. 2 weeks later, we rolled out a new company benefit and dropped $20 into every employee's paycheck every single month so they could subscribe to Netflix if they wanted to. But like, what a great way to just communicate with someone, learn something new, offer a benefit. And now all of a sudden, people are tuning into Tiger King. They're being like, what?
They could be
Like, and
part of the
now
conversation now.
they give me, that's it. And like things I'm watching now, I'm getting all kinds of inbound like texts about things I should be watching that they're watching. And like we've created like this new thing and a new way to connect, which I love.
Wow. What's the biggest benefit, would you say, of being so close with your employees?
Not being disconnected from the reality of what life is like when you're working, you know, part-time and hourly. I think a lot of people ascend, right, or transcend, you know, from that, even if they started there. And it's almost like it was so far in my past, or it was such a tough time, I just want to forget about it and like live their new normal without recognizing that how hard it actually was, like how hard it is to feed a family or put food on the table or put a roof over your head. And like it, dollars don't go very far, like they just don't. And also like all of the issues that people are dealing with, how hard it is to get to and from work, how hard it is to get, you know, child care, right, or daycare that's affordable. Like there's just a lot of like family systems and issues that make it really hard for people to show up to work. And I try to lean into that stuff and learn so I can be a better leader, a better employer, but also a better friend. Like my job is not to command and control. My job is to inspire people to make the most of themselves, whatever that is that they want to do, or whoever it is that they want to be. I'm not judgmental. I just want to be there. So if you're coming to Ant Pizza and you're coming there for a day, a week, a month, a year, like great. Like as long as I get a chance to know you, I get a chance to support you. This does not need to be your career. This can be a stop along, you know, the road. Like that's really cool. So I think it's just a different way of thinking about people. It's like treat people like you'd want to be treated yourself. Talk to people like they're your friend. Tell people honestly about who you are. And that real talk, I think, is what gets honest conversation striking. Even if people don't like what I said or what I've done, they tell me and I have a chance to respond to it. I have a chance to apologize for it if I'm wrong. And I get a chance to like be better.
But it's that empathy and that willingness to be both a leader and grounded and realize that not everyone is in the same position as you. Like the fact that you even thought to get everybody Netflix, realizing that they didn't have it, to be part of the conversation. That's the whole reason I wanted to do this, because I'm like a kind of normal geeky kid. Like I live in my friend's house in like a tiny little room. Like I've had 4 platinum records in the last couple of years, and I don't understand why it seems like people forget so quickly what their life was like a couple of years ago. And I'm flawed in so many ways, but one thing that I'm really grateful for is that I never stopped. Even the way I was raised, we never stopped trying to see through the common person's eyes and like understand what they're going through. Because you can make all kinds of excuses when you're not doing that. You know, there's always a political battle. There's always something. Even with COVID-19, people have theories, how it started, that get in the way. The news is barking at you constantly. But the real truth is that people are dying and family members are being lost and hospitals are overrun. And those are the only things you need to focus on. If you just focus on those things, you're more inclined to want to be useful.
Absolutely. Not only that, it's the way that you connect with people and the way that like your soul and your heart, right, get uplifted and get filled, right? It's the stuff that
Yeah,
actually those people that
it
pay
feels
attention
good.
to it, yeah, they're the ones that when their head hits the pillow at night, they're sleeping better because they do have that connection, right? They're not building, right, this empire of dirt. They're building, you know, real
I am.
human connections. I know it's a great go back to that song as well.
um,
Uh,
and you know, man, and it does, but it's not easy. It's not to say that any of what
mhm.
you're doing is easy, because being willing to take criticism from an employee or even just from anyone, but from someone that you don't have to take it from, it's very, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of personal willingness to grow. And I love that you just let your employees do that. Like my manager, he's one of my best friends. We've been together for 6 years, not dating, but he's been my manager for 6 years. And I did something without realizing it that really upset him, and it was totally justified. And he sent me a message about it, and I was like, thank God I know that now. Thank God that he told me that, or I would just be going around like not realizing that I was doing this thing and not even being fully aware. Dude, it's an awareness. And like the more aware that you get to feel about the world and understanding, like, yeah, you do feel better. You do feel just actually better. And you could do more when you feel better. You do more good
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure. Yeah. And listen, whether you're an artist, whether you're an entrepreneur, I think if your goals are not to be king or to be rich, right, those are the two things that tend to get in the way of, really good thinking. And you don't have to be right. You can be much more effective, because to build things that are truly long lasting and sustainable, you have to work through people and you have to work with people. You can't work around them. And you always have to keep, right, people that you've known all of your life close to you, even if you like them or you don't like them, right, or your relationship is different than it once was. It's healthy because they're always grounding you and keeping you in check. Like, you should never let your ego, and men, for us men out there, I know women have it too, but ego is such a brutal thing. It's the very thing that gets us up and makes us do stuff, but it's also the thing that can be the most destructive as we're doing things to other people and to ourselves. So there's this fine balance of, how do we get out of bed? How do we put one foot in front of another? How do we put ourselves out there in a way that's really hard, because it requires confidence in some version of an ego, but also make sure that we have a heavy dose of humility, and we're incredibly thoughtful around, the wake that we're leaving, how we're communicating, and how we are taking information and giving permission for people to be honest with us.
Absolutely. God, well said. You are well spoken. What do your parents think of all this? My man. One more question. Do you read?
Do I what?
Read books.
Yeah. It's sort of the bane of my existence. I have a stack of books that I'm always wanting to read, and for some reason, like by osmosis, it's not getting in. So I do a lot of like long story short kind of stuff. So, the 10-15 minute reads on the daily, just to fill my head with as much of sort of the good nuggets that I need. But I've got a stack of books that I haven't read in the last year, which is super bummer.
Dude, I mean, I try. I'll read like 10 pages before I fall asleep, and I have a
And it
stack.
makes me, I sleep. Literally fall like instant, like 2 pages gone.
Yeah, people have all these different ways of like getting themselves to bed, Ambien and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, if you read for like something that's not that interesting for 10 minutes, you're gone. But if you have a favorite book, tell me, because I'm trying to tell people to read more, because it did help me a lot. Just like mentally, everything. I started to read a lot more like 3 years ago. I would work out for 20 minutes and then I would go into the sauna and read for 10. And I got into that cycle, and it really did help me. So I'm trying to tell people that that's part of my advice, and I always bring it up. So if you have a favorite book, tell me what that is.
I would say not a favorite, but the book I read last that actually applies to some of the leadership conversation we've had is a book called New Power by this guy, Henry Timms. New Power. Yeah. So I definitely recommend checking it out. Talks about like the juxtaposition of old power and how people kind of rose to the ranks, and how older corporations, legacy corporations, behave versus some of the newer power, and the characteristics of what it means to lead in a different type of economy. So I know it's a little bit dorkier, a little bit more business speak, but I think there's a lot of things that you've talked about that sort of apply and fit smack dab into the middle of the things that this guy Henry writes in his book.
Absolutely. Okay, fantastic. No, that's a perfect answer. Sorry, what is it called one more time?
New Power.
New Power. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. All right, guys, if you do want to contribute, again, and pizza, it's mostly East Coast, right? You don't have West Coast.
Now we'll come there eventually, but we're East Coast now.
So DC, Boston, New York,
Philly, Baltimore.
Philly, Baltimore. So if you're in any of those
Awesome.
places, just by ordering pizzas, you're already doing something good and helping people who really deserve it. And one thing that we all agree on in this country, we all actually agree that doctors and nurses are some of the most valuable people in our society, and they deserve our help, just like they help us. So, Mike, thanks again, man. Can't wait to do more of these. Thanks for being my guinea pig, bro.
I love it, man.
All right, brother. Much love. Stay safe.
Yeah. Thank you.